Hey y'all, Sam Serious here. So, I'm happy to say that the moon has been a very fruitful trip. I've been processing a lot of titanium. I made a EV chemical bath here to process the ilmenite even further to get the most out of it. I'm pretty much getting pretty much two rutile dust out of each of the ilmenite ore, crushed version of that, so that way I'm able to get the most out of the ilmenite dust. And nice thing about it is that I don't have to invest any net gains of sulfuric acid into this. This is a closed system that just goes back and forth. I'm just getting oxygen, iron out of this too as well, and then sulfuric back into the chemical bath here. I haven't even crushed all of this ore yet, and I'm still getting plenty of ilmenite out of here, or rutile out of this. So the moon has paid off. I will be expanding more on titanium processing, but that's something later on in the future. At least got a trickle going to get things started with. I still got bauxite to think about, so that's that. So, y'all are probably seeing subtle signs everywhere, but I've been really going ham on the on upgrading the logistics on this base. Specifically fluid handling. That's the most complicated part in terms of automation here with what BragTech has to offer here. So I made like six drives worth ME drives worth of 4K storage cells, each storing about 10 fluids each to store all these other fluids in mass. This whole base, at least this wing, actually nearly the whole base in terms of fluid handling, is routing everything into this ME storage system, and then this ME storage system is then routing all of its fluids back to other components of the base. So pretty much everything is being condensed down and handled by an ME system. It feels so nice because one, it allowed me to these tanks, these storage cells, 4Ks, they store more fluid than a stainless steel tank. Because of that, I was able to just remove all the multi-block tanks out of here, which means no need to have additional pipes routing around, no overly complicated ways of filtering things. I don't have to engineer around the limitations of GTNH pipes. I can just condense all the fluids I need to route into one little cable space. It's so nice to have that option. And it's actually allowed me to organize the space a lot more cleanly. The fluid rate. Uh-oh, I'm lagging here a little bit. Please bear with me. Okay. And with what the MB networks can communicate, there is no delay on fluid travel. A fluid can be in one spot and then instantaneously be brought to another with an MB network. The only limit is the throughput of the means of collecting and releasing fluids, which in my case would be these ME exporter buses, which both can transfer up to 200 millibuckets per tick. Now I can accelerate this using acceleration cards because these are upgradable. These even have their own built-in filters to them, so I can pretty much tell them what to supply going into a GT system, going into a GT machine or tank. This pretty much, for the most part, makes fluid filters covers pretty much obsolete. For the most part, I can see some sparing cases where I might have to use it, so I will still keep them around and use them as needed. It's just my need to use them has been severely reduced. I have so much titanium surge cord stuff too as well that I've actually started creating multiple networks. So I've got my item storage network that I created before I went to the moon. Storage networks for a fluid, I'm actually having two networks handle it. So I've got my primary storage fluid network, which all the machines are connected to. But I'm having a secondary network route the connections of the storage network to other places through a secondary network that I'm going to call my carrier network. This network is going to be in charge of handling any fluids and items going into and out to it, but at an indirect way. Instead, instead of carrying fluids through it as a network itself, it's going to be carrying the channels of the networks of the fluid and item network. How is that possible? P2P tunnels. Point to point. A P2P channel, specifically the EMI version, can carry an EMI network's information, consolidate all the channel information from one network into it, and then have that transmitted through one channel of another network. With a dense cable capable of handling up to 32 channels, all that 32 channels gets condensed down into a P2P tunnel here. 32 channels being transmitted into one channel of the carrier network. And then being, so that's pretty much condensing all 32 channels into one channel, and then uncondensing the channels to the other P2P tunnel that is linked to it directly to the face of an MA controller. So that's possibly 32 channels of information being directly linked from one aspect of the network through another network into the other P2P tunnel. If I need to create more networks, if I need to expand on this network for sake of allowing more fluid handling and to other machines, to more machines, I can just simply add more MA controllers here. That will add more faces necessary to add more channels to add more to whole automation. Similar deal with the carrier network. Should I need more channels to condense other channels down to route around? I can expand the ME controller to this channel here, to this network here, should I need to add more P2P tunnels to the fluid or item storage. Because of this tag teaming system, I can possibly carry hundreds of channels through one ME dense cable under a carrier system using P2P tunnels. And directly communicate any branching connections of the fluid network and go in the door. Like this here is still being seen, like this network here before going into this tunnel here is still being seen as the fluid network for what it is. It's just fluid network being condensed down one channel, being routed down there, and uncondensed into the other side of the fluid network. I might be overcomplicating, and I know I'm overextending on this, but I am excited. I'm excited. I am excited to see how far this has expanded. Because of this, I've actually making, been adding more machines and stuff for making more fluids. Like I've been producing plenty of nitrous oxide, plenty of phosphoric acid. Then I'm producing, then I'm producing acetone from acetic acid. Then I'm producing more more acetone, but using benzene, oxygen, phosphoric acid, and when it gets applied, propene. Yeah, propane. Propene. Propene. I'm going to call it propane. Propene because there's another gas that sounds similar to it called propane. So this is the other side of the carrier network. I was able to get rid of all the tanks here connected off of this distillation tower. The 4K cell stores more than stainless steel tanks, so I'm actually upgraded storage capacity for the distillation tower here that I'm processing fermented biomass with. I was able to reconsolidate most of the centrifuge systems tanks into the ME network since all that is being routed through the connections being directly stored in the fluid cells, except for oxygen and nitrogen. I have my reasons for that I'll get onto later on here. I got titanium tetrachloride being supplied into this EBF here for titanium processing. I just got to manually supply all the magnesium going into it in order to produce the hot titanium ingots out of that. This here's nitrogen. I'll explain that in a second. Um, I got the cetane boosted biodiesel going into the ME network being stored there. I got my benzene production also going into it, as well as all the byproducts from these two distillation towers from the benzene production. So pretty much nearly all of the fluids that I'm producing from my base here is being routed to that cell, into those storage cells, those ME drives, those storage cells. That's And as I described before, these pipes, instantaneous travel, limited by bus throughput. Uh-oh, I'm lagging again. Please bear with me. I've been observing a increased lag spikes now that I'm doing way more here. More condensed lines, so I can branch off of these lines in a more organized fashion that's not so overly spaghettified like I was having to do with the Greg Tech pipes. I just got to be mindful about how many channels I'm using for every branch of the network. Not so much on the carrier network, since the carrier network is condensing all the other channels, but I just gotta keep in mind on what branch of the fluid channels and other channels are, because an ME dense cable can only handle up to 32 devices hooked up to it. Which means HP2P tunnels here can handle up to 32 channels you're going into it. So I gotta keep that constraint in mind. That's pretty much the other limitation with applied energistics. Channel management. I might experiment around with it and possibly make use of smart cables to debug a bunch of things as needed, should I be coming into unexplained issues, or the network tool, depending on what it offers. There is also another limitation, and this is actually something that's tying into some of the other stuff, including to some of the episode goals here. Another limitation about the ME network system is the fact that it has to be powered in order to work. Should I lose power, both items and fluid ME networks, as well as the carrier network, will shut down. And if I'm not wise about how I handle this, I can flat out deadlock myself out of all the machines of this whole base with a very severe struggle to power everything. So you're probably thinking, am I routing power through the ME system? Am I routing benzene to supply the base through an ME system? Yes, but only supplementally. You see, I'm doing something that I'm going to call a parallel supply system. So I have the ME system depositing benzene into this GT tank, but I'm also having GT pipes route benzene from benzene production directly to benzene supply. This is helpful in so many ways. One, I got the tank to monitor, but the tank is going to be the last thing to start draining out. I do have dedicated storage benzene in the ME system that will deplete down as benzene gets supplied. If I see that starts running low or not at its top limit, then I know that I'm at a net loss of benzene production from what I'm consuming here, which could be because of over demand for supply or simply because of maintenance issues. Could be all sorts of reasons. Um, should I be seeing that the ME system is starting to dip low on benzene or out of benzene that there will be enough to tell me to shut everything down immediately, in a hurry, before I deadlock myself. So I got 2 points of gathering information now. Considering I spend most of my time over there, I'll be having a more easier time to gauge what's going on with my power system from my benzene supply. Similar deal with nitrogen. I'm also doing a parallel supply with nitrogen since benzene production through the pyrolysis oven uses a recipe for that involves nitrogen. So I'm doing things parallel with nitrogen too as well to ensure that I am able to get things done. And it seems to me that the whole GregTech power system here is preferring GregTech pipes over benzene product over the ME network here. So that is a behavior that I've noticed until the tank and pipes got filled up. That's when I start seeing that the GT tanks start getting filled to allow this bus to extract fluid out of. So I think just by behavior, it'll be prioritized, at least with my case here. I don't know if that's true in general. So don't fully take that word to word from me. I strongly advise that you don't do that. And study up on what your setups are doing should y'all be doing something like that too as well. I will be installing some fail safes here so that way me closely monitoring everything isn't the final failsafe. I will be wanting to create some sort of a fluid level reading system that will toggle on certain systems to prioritize power over other base operations. I will still be using benzene after I still be using benzene to power my base with, but I'm also going to be I'm going to be prioritizing benzene production for benzene power production and for operating the ME system. That's pretty much what I want to be switching benzene for, since benzene is has an infinite supply of resources going into it. Now, should I be running all the machines at this base right now, the benzene supply will not keep up with it. So, I've been expressing this for multiple episodes now. I've been wanting to expand power infrastructure. I could expand on benzene even more, but that may require me to add more tree towers and could possibly require me to, well, add more to the nitrogen and a few other things. I'm actually getting to the point where I don't want to touch benzene anymore. Benzene's nice to me and all, but I want to have something that's more reliable than it. I can't make nitrobenzene because I'm not IV yet. I don't have the means of being able to process benzene into nitrobenzene. However, with being coaching EV, I got more options in terms of producing things, and I can actually produce this type of fuel at HV, especially now that now that LCRs is a reliable option for me. I'm not just going to create oil processing in this episode. I'm going to produce high octane gas. Yes, I'm going hog here. Benzene is about 1 bucket's worth of benzene is about 320,000 EUs of energy capacity. Hog, give me a second, let me look at the uses of that, is 2.5 million EUs per bucket's worth. That there is, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 8 times the energy density of benzene. I am progressing towards EV. And EV demands a lot of energy. It's 4 times the HV, so it's 2,048 EUs per tick. The turbo gas turbines are at 50% efficiency. I don't know about the I don't know about the liquid gas burning generators. I haven't studied much about that, but that they're I'm observing a big leap of inefficiency with that. So I'm going to be powering EV stuff using HV turbines, stuff like that, since I'm more comfortable with that level versus EV stuff, but that might change depending on my fuel supply. But point is, I'm going hog. And a little bit of making that hog will require acetone from gasoline, stuff like that. It will require a little bit of nitrous oxide. So high octane gas requires nitrous oxide. I'm producing a fair amount of that. Octane, I have to get from the distillation towers. Toluene, I'm already generating toluene. I'll be getting way more of it from the petrochem oil processing. I'm referring to oil processing as petrochem. Anti-knock agent I'll have to make. That's simply ethanol and butane. Oh, ethanol. I have ran out of ethanol for polyethylene production, so I will have to disconnect the dehydrator line, which is alright. Ethylene is going to be produced as part of petrochem, so I'm not too worried about that. Acetone, I'm already producing acetone. I'm processing acetic acid and I'm going to say oxygen for acetic acid for acetone. Yeah, acetic acid and something else too as well. I think. Oh, never mind. It's just acetic acid, but with calcite or calcium dust not being consumable into this. And we'll quick lime too as well. Interesting that dust don't get consumed. The point is, I'm able to produce it without having to produce phosphoric gas, without having to consume phosphoric acid. I'm just having that phosphoric acid set up here be like a supplemental system to the whole thing. Plus, two, it will sink other resources too as well. And of course, I need acetone for gasoline. Naphtha and refinery gases from the distillation towers. Methanol, well, petrochem and my current, and I'm already producing it from one of the distillation towers over there. So I got most of the materials necessary to make it. It's very easy for me to route all the fluids over there due to the nature of the ME system. So producing a hog and handling logistics of it is not a nightmare for me anymore, thanks to applied energistics. It's all about throughput, and should I need to produce more of one fluid, I don't have the space in one area, I can just produce fluid elsewhere within the ME network. Because the instantaneous traveled on a condensed network. So, yippee! Things are really lighting up for me right now. And with me having LCRs, I don't have to worry about dealing with GT tank fluid take shenanigans as much, anyways. So at this point in time for me on GTNH, it's looking very ideal to. Oh, no lag spike. I'll talk with Mr. Viz. It's very ideal for me to really expand on automation now, since I got more convenient options to do so. I just gotta make sure that the ME network is able to keep up the power demand. There is an emerging power strategy, though, and I kind of hinted to this briefly when I was talking about benzene. I mentioned that with benzene, I just want to have it being reserved for power production and for powering ME networks. I've decided that I'll want to use H.O.G to power other parts of the base, specifically not parts of the base necessary for power production. This way, should I run out of H.O.G, I'm not running out of a source of power, forcing a deadlock on system. Benzene I will always have as long as I keep up with maintenance on it and keep an eye on it. H.O.G, I'll have to keep an eye on it. I can possibly have H.O.G being produced at an infinite rate, though. At an infinite supply, though. I believe so, anyways. I have to study around with that, so don't fully quote me on that. The reason why I say this about H.O.G is because there is a way of getting heavy oil at an infinite supply. I'm not talking about going at all the oil planting oil rigs, stuff like that. I want to avoid having to do that. I can also make use of oil sands to produce heavy oil. But it's also possible now with me being HV and stuff like that to convert a bunch of wood logs into heavy oil. And that requires wood logs. Wood I have been produced at an infinite supply, only limited by throughput over time. And right now I'm overproducing wood, don't know by how much. And I'm not sure if these two wood wood production towers are enough to keep up with hog production. But I can use all the wood with that to produce oil. What I'll probably do is create a failsafe system that prioritizes benzene over wood. But I can route at least any of the excess of wood towards hog production. I'm hoping that with me supplying water to these towers, unlike previously before, would be enough to keep up with hog production. If I can do that, then I can comfortably design oil processing to avoid excessive fluids due to the infinite nature. And then I can use H.O.G that requires more power demanding systems, not essential for power production. I may reevaluate that decision depending on how much worth it is to produce nitrobenzene. But yeah, things are looking good in terms of power management. Oh, and with me being at EV tier now too as well, it could be a foreseeable option to go nuclear power. Now, there is a royal danger to nuclear power. That there is something that I will tinker around with in the future, but not so soon now. So, oil processing and high octane gas production. That's this episode's goal today. I've got a good setup on that. I've talked y'all's ears off long enough, so I'll go ahead and get a time lapse going with all the oil crackers, LCRs, and distillery setup. I will see y'all. I'll talk to y'all at the end of the time lapse. That's nature of GTNH one time. It sometimes small mistake. What? Oh, it's because I forgot to hook up the power line or benzene line. Alright, we'll do other things while this benzene line set. Oh, shucks, it's water. That's water! I thought it was benzene. Oh, now I'll come back to this when I get the means of purging out the water. Actually, I already did have the means of purging out the water. It's called fluid cells. I don't like Spike. Alright, I'll get back to this more when I get the whole situation fixed. Right. So far things are looking up a little now. I got the first distillery processing all the oil into sulfurous versions of the fuels. Plus, two, with this being on circuit condition 9, producing naphthic acid on top of that. Figured I can either store X of that for uses later on or burn it off for something else. Got cans of food here. Oh, that's what I did with it. Alright. Ooh, got hydrogen in here. Cool. I don't like the fact that I'm stuck falling up on sulfur. Or sulfuric acid, I should say. Oh, it's hydrogen sulfide. Ooh, I got big processing space for that. Good news with that, though, is that it will yield plenty more hydrogen, though, at least, so that's worth my attention to explore. I know what to do with that. I'll have to create another spot for it. But yeah, other than that hydrogen sulfide, that's pretty much the oil processing setup. Be right back with this issue. Okay, so I found a working solution. Though this means that the electrolyzer has to be fully saturated with each respective cell, but hydrogen sulfide going to the GT tank, going back and forth through cells will guarantee that it'll at least have the hydrogen sulfide cells going in there. And with both cells guaranteed to be pretty much two stacks of each respective cell going in there, it guarantees that two full slots will be going in there without having one side being having too much of one of the types of cells, while guaranteeing that sulfuric at well sulfur dust gets piled into the sulfur processing system. So this oil processing system is a way of getting sulfur in. Heck, with the trees and stuff, it would actually be an infinite source of sulfur, which makes sulfur even more overly plentiful. Alright, I'm just glad I found a working solution to a problem. Hydrogen sulfide looks here. Oh, it just froze, but it looks like it's at a net loss for the moment. Hydrogen doing its thing. Plenty of heavy fuel. I'm going to have to see more about what's going on with the oil processing system here. See how that goes with this. Oh, go grab all the oil first, of course. Oh wait, oil sands are being processed. Are they? Now they are. Alright, time to see how things go. Okay, so looks like I pretty much got high octane gas established now. I did have to modify what I was building a little bit though, because it turns out to get octane I needed to put put lightly hydrocracked light fuel in there instead of steam cracked fuel. So I had to make some modifications there. But yeah, I'm finally getting plenty of hog being produced here. Gasoline is being consumed in the process. It's just a matter of having other means of getting things set up too as well. And all the oil sands has been processed out, so we actually went through all those oil sands pretty fast. I still got about over half a cell's worth of heavy oil left, but that will be probably gone in the next few hours. All this is getting broken down from heavy fuel. And the heavy fuel is being broken down at pace 2 as well with this, so man. So I got all the other chemicals being produced necessary to make gasoline and stuff, and then over a separate haul, I got gasoline, raw gasoline, and high octane gas being produced. These are the remaining 3 machines here. On the fluid output space, what? It's being blocked. I'll be right back. I'm going to troubleshoot this a little bit. Alright, I fixed what's going on. I modified something with the tank here to try to hide the overflow valve without concern. In fact, the overflow valve can't block off any outputting fluids from another machine. I got that fixed. That's from tooling there. Oh. I forget one more thing. Heavy gonna want to root that in somehow. Don't already know how. For now, I'm just going to have to tuck this here. I'm actually out of import buses and the means of making them. I'm definitely looking into this hazmat suit for the restorer. But yep, this is pretty much how I'm just routing all the fluids for all the chemicals. If all of these were to be steam cracked, I'd be able to treat most of their outputs as a straight line across, as you can see here, with all these steel lines being parallel. But with, of course, the bottom lines being different, just based on the fact that they're output different types of fuels. Hydrocracking is a different matter here. So that there, I just created another channel line to fit through here. But yes, I'm content to say that, well, I got some hog going here. Oh, let me slap these on real quick. So it's 11, 16, 16, 16. How much do I need to make raw gasoline? 16 kiloliters of naphtha. Okay. So this will fill up as needed. I wish I could set up a priority system to where all the naphtha would go, though. Oh, don't mind the leg spike, please. Because I'd much rather be that I'd be able to route all the naphtha. I would much rather have all the naphtha go in here. Now, the naphtha here is steam cracked. Looks like most of the towers, except for the ones receiving their inputs, will be outputting a specific type of fuel, but receiving the respective fuels that way. So theoretically speaking, all but two will give naphtha, which I've been hydrocracking or depositing in here. I don't think I'm needing naphtha a lot. I don't think I need a whole lot of naphtha being processed right now, so I'm inclined to shut this machine off. Because I want to have that go more towards hog than why would I get to be cracked. Because that is actually the bottlenecking fuel right now. Which works. It's a slight reduction in power demand for benzene right now because I am at a net loss on benzene right now. About almost halfway through. So as soon as I see this get like right around below 2 million liters, then I'll be inclined to shut off the whole oil processing there. But yep, look at that. Almost 1 million liters of high octane gas. So I'm already having lots of hog made available. I'm going to be monitoring this a little bit more too as well to see how things are balancing out. I may wind up. Actually, I will be adding more of the overflow hatches to those respective blocks because I know for a fact that all the other gases that I have in here are going to be overfilling or are going to be completely filling the cells, and I don't need that to be stalling out production. Yeah, I could just simply go to the multi-blocks and tell them to void out liquids, but yeah, I think I'm gonna try to do that directly for the GT tanks since they're the actual parts that handles the transition between the distillation towers and the ME network system. But yeah, finally got some high octane gas, and this will be handy for the future to come. What I like to be able to do with high octane gas here, though, I know what I'm going to be doing with high octane gas. What I meant was naphtha. What I like to be able to do is to create a system that will make the high octane gas system prioritize hog production over the distillation tower. This way, any excessive byproducts produced by the not being actively used by the high octane gas production would be left over to have some value being produced. Anyhow, y'all, this has been a bit of a complicated episode. There's a lot of detailed information about how the ME network stuff works, not to mention that the gas oil production line and hog is a very complicated chain to have worked with. It even uh, it even gave me a bit of a headache here and there briefly. Because of all this, I'm inclined to make a tutorial about this whole high octane gas setup. It's probably going to be distributed across multiple videos though, because it is a lot. Like most of these fluids that you're seeing here is either a product required for high octane gas production, or is a byproduct that's not being used from the oil processing. And a lot of these fluids are being immediately used up quickly. As you can see, with all the fluids flickering around all over the place as the quantities of them changes. Man, that sure is a lot, though. Definitely going to be taking a break from this for a bit. Plus, two, got other envisions in mind to do too as well. Either way, a good milestone to get started on. I'll just have to see how things goes through time. I just gotta start routing all the other machines that are not essential for power production to into the high octane systems. I'll be setting up some gasoline combustion engines. Almost 1 million. Wow. What I'll also be doing in the future too, as well, is creating a. I'm going to create more powerless ovens for sure. Probably 8 more. It might be overkill, but it'll at least allow me to get a passive way of generating oil off of the wood that I'm currently working with. I won't be liking the fact that I may be entertaining the possibility of expanding the tree farms even more. But regardless, I'll just set up a bunch of powerless ovens for that, and then I'll just create an overflow system to where the overflowing stuff will go for oil processing, since hog is only going to be meant for resource production, not power production. Anyhow, for those of y'all stuck around, thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you in terms of how the journey has gone. I kind of had to improvise a little bit this episode due to the recording software I was using being a little finicky, but I managed to make do with the time lapse. Anyhow, I got more plans to do. I will see y'all next time when I'm ready to execute them. Take care.